Welcome to the podcast where two guys talk about stuff and drink coffee.
You can't handle the truth!
This is the Coffee with Phil and Jim podcast.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
And now for your listening enjoyment.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the Coffee, Phil and Jim podcast. Across from me is
Jimmy Nick.
Back in the studio for some awesome conversation about things people really don't care about.
Right. A bunch of stuff, man. We got plenty to talk about then, don't we?
Yes, we got a lot to talk about. I want to remind everybody to search, subscribe, and share. We are pretty much wherever you get your audio podcast. If not, shoot us an email at coffeewithphilandjim@gmail.com. That's coffeewithphilandjim@gmail.com. And let us know, hey, I use this audio podcast app and you're not on it, and we will try to get on it on this. And there's so many nowadays.
Yeah, really.
Also, we are on YouTube, so make sure to go search us up at Coffee with Phil and Jim podcast on YouTube. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit those notification buttons as well so you get all the new content that comes out. Because, you know, really, we won't just do a whole lot of just podcasts all the time. There'll be little things here and there. There'll be maybe some special guests. There'll be all kinds of stuff. So you want to make sure you get that all situated on your end to get those notifications as well. Also, we need to go ahead and shout out the Chill Out and Serve blog this time. I know we do this like every week.
Right.
You know, but it's one of those things where, like, this is a bad terminology. I feel like we kind of need to, because every week it's something that I know I need.
Right.
And I'm sure everybody else needs as well.
Yeah, the topics are very important that he goes into. Like this week, it's the topic of fear in our relationship, you know, with the Lord. And he goes into Hebrews there in 13.
Mm-hmm.
13, you know, the Lord's always going to be with us, no matter what. He's never going to leave us nor forsake us. And if you have God in your corner, you have Him as your shepherd, I mean, what do we have to fear?
Right.
He's already promised to meet all of our needs, not our wants, but our needs, you know.
Yes.
So, but there's no reason to fear, because we have eternal salvation. We have eternal life. So even though we may even physically die here, we're going to be with Him forever in eternity. So, I mean, there's really nothing to fear in all this. So, but people do get that way. They get all upset over every little thing, you know. They look at the economy or just our government. I mean, you got to talk about a bunch of haters.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's become a club up there. And let's hate on each other. You know, nothing ever gets accomplished doing that. And when somebody comes in and tries to change it, then you see what's going on.
Yeah.
They don't want change in that because they're used to it and they've been doing it forever. And if you notice, you look around, most of them old boys up there are 80, 90 years old anyway. So.
Yeah. That's true.
I think they need term limits up there to take care of that
Yeah.
situation. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I've been watching some of these, hearings and stuff, and it is nuts.
It's crazy.
It is nuts. And some of these questions, now they do have the time period, so they, I yield my time, or they have these procedural things they do. But it's funny because some of these, I was watching one with, was it last week or something, with RFK Jr., and they had somebody ask, basically dogging him
Right.
for a statement that he made that sounded racist. But in fact, he was just quoting a study.
Right.
And one of the other, I forget who it was, but one of the other, it was their time, a Republican, or I believe. Anyways, they said, I just want to take my time instead of asking questions. I want to bring up those actual studies he was quoting.
Yeah.
And he was like, quote, da-da-da-da, quote, da-da-da-da.
Yeah, it's amazing, yeah. But anything, they'll come up with anything, or put some story out there. Which one was it? I'm trying to think of the one of them. It might have been the Secretary of Defense guy that his brother's ex-wife was saying things about him. Well, here you are. You got an ex in that family. There's no longer in that family, and this guy's up for a big important job, and they're gonna say stuff, You know, if you're trying to keep them from getting in there. I know that the Kennedys are against Robert Kennedy. You know, especially John Kennedy's daughter. You know, she come out. She don't want him to have that job. You know, because he's no longer a Democrat for one thing. So they get into all that kind of stuff. And he's a supporter of Trump. Let's face it, he dropped out and said vote for Trump.
Yeah.
You know, and so you got a lot of Democrats hating on him because of that.
I think everybody hates him because the red dye incident.
Oh. Over the red dye.
Everybody's getting the red dye. It's like, what? So, you know, I mean, as soon as he was being nominated for that, it was like, you know, these companies were like, oh, red dye is bad. Let's get rid of red dye. Which is funny because, like, if you watch what they eat in Canada or like UK or something, they didn't have all the junk that we have in our food. Yeah.
They said something about, was it Fruit Loops? They said like ours has got 18 different ingredients in it. In Canada, it's got 3.
Yeah.
And they're natural ingredients. same stuff. You know, it's like, okay.
That's crazy.
You know, that's like you go to Mexico, you can get sugar in your Coca-Cola, but you can't get it here. Yeah. You know, it's crazy. Yeah. I'm sure they said that high fructose corn syrup isn't good for you either. So, you know, but we get it. We're I don't know, what are we, test dummies for?
It's always something. Remember,
see if it's going to kill us or not.
It's always something. Remember back in the day when doctors were saying it was okay to smoke?
Oh yeah. There was one commercial. I believe it was Camel. 9 out of 10 doctors, you know, prefer Camels. Really? Those didn't have no filter on them. So.
Yeah. Look at it now.
Yeah, man, they changed their story, but you know, but even on any of that stuff you see out there on food or whatever it is, go look. If you want to take the time, go look and see who paid for the research. Mm-hmm. See, they said for years smoking didn't cause cancer and it didn't cause these problems. But then when they went and looked, it was R.J. Reynolds and other tobacco companies paying for the research. So what do you think conclusion they were going to come to on all this?
Yeah, no kidding.
So when they start that up, you got to go look, okay, who's behind it? Because they can slant that and take it. It's just like on global warming, you know. You go back to the 70s, Time, Newsweek, all the major magazines back in the day ran stories on the new ice age that was coming.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it's crazy. And they're out there. You can read the stories. You can still find them out there that they said that. And then you turn around there, well, there's no money in it. How many heaters can you sell, you know? So they start coming up with there's a way to make money in this. It's only if you say it's global warming. And as far as global warming is concerned, you know, most of the countries in the world aren't participating in it anyway.
Yeah.
So, and then China isn't, and all these smaller countries, they're not either, you know. They don't have the money to go out and invest in engineering and making new electric cars. Some of them have trouble having electricity. Period.
Right, yeah.
So that's a foolish notion anyway. And the world doesn't gonna last that long anymore anyway.
That's right.
You know, Christ come back and that'll take care of that problem. So I know this coffee you got this morning. We've had the Starbucks, we've had the Casey's, we had the Domino's, and now we got what we call the HBC house brand.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I prefer it over the others. I do.
Do you really?
Really. To me, it tastes better.
Even over Starbucks?
Even Starbucks. Starbucks didn't impress me.
Now, if you could take away the idea of how much it cost, would you still like it, or does how much it cost affect how it tastes to you?
Nah, it's just the taste. I mean, it doesn't matter how it tastes. I mean, I like that little place downtown we used to go to, the Iron Tree.
Yeah.
And I thought their coffee was pretty good. In fact, that's where all this started at, was at Iron Tree.
That's right, yeah.
So they should be sending us free coffee every week. Because I'll throw a plug in there for them if they want. Because they're having to compete against Starbucks now. So
that's the thing nowadays, whenever you're doing any kind of podcast or whatever, YouTube channel show or something, you know, if you talk about something, it's almost like you have to verbally say that, you know, this isn't,
Yeah,
you
they
know,
don't sponsor it.
they're not sponsoring us because there's so many people that are doing this for money. Now, we don't do this for money. We do this for, you know, one, it's kind of just fun to do, but two, it's like, let's just talk about stuff that normal people might talk about and throw it out there. So, and I mean, most of the things that we purchase or whatever, like I came across the other day, which I forgot it, it's in my office, but our mugs that we got,
Right.
you know, we started with way back in the day. The first swag was the coffee mugs. They were down at the other studio we were in. We've moved since. But do you have yours, or you bring it up?
What, that mug?
Yeah.
The bill?
No, the little white,
It's
little
around
8
there
ouncer.
somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah. Now the other one, we still got that one.
Okay, yeah, that big. It was a travel tumbler, right?
Right.
Yeah. No, I found two, so the other one's yours. I wasn't sure because I bought like 6 or 8 of them when we first started, and since we had a giveaway, and so I gave a couple away, I think, in that instance, and then I got that. I can't remember what else, the other ones, but anyways, I found those, so I need to get those moved near our new studio, and all that stuff. So. Yeah, the coffee situation, honestly, I didn't have time to go pick something up. So that's why we're just doing the
coffee.
What you call the HBC house brand.
Yes.
So.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Sure comes in handy on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. Do you ever get coffeeed out?
Oh, yeah, then in the morning usually. I don't drink it in the afternoon most of the time. Now, I will on Sunday afternoon. I'll have a cup up here, but generally I don't drink it after morning coffee.
Yeah. What do you drink during the day? Do you drink water? Yeah.
Water. Mainly just water after that.
Okay.
Because I don't drink a lot of pop anymore, so it's mainly just water. So I tried some juices, didn't care for them that much. Yeah.
Just water.
Just water.
Water's good.
Bottled water and drink.
Stay hydrated.
Water. Yeah, stay hydrated. You can do that, especially my age. You know?
Yeah, that's that water thing, especially when it's really cold, though, is hard for me because I just want to drink hot beverages all day.
And you take that water we got here, it's Ozarka water.
Uh-huh.
This is Texas proud, you know.
That's right.
There's not a Texas in that word at all. The
Let's see.
Ozarka, Oklahoma, Arkansas.
Well-
And it actually started in, the water used to come out of Arkansas, so.
Okay.
So there's basically it. And although they do have a plant in Oklahoma City that bottles water, still bottles water for it, and it does say Oklahoma City on it. So.
Interesting.
And it's usually those bigger jugs.
Oh, yeah. Well, like here we have an 8 fluid ounce Ozarka, 100% natural spring water. And it says here under the source, Piney Wood Spring, Wood County, Texas, and or Moffett Spring, Waukegan County, Texas, and or Roar Spring, hope I say that right, Henderson County, Texas.
Yeah, but you put that all together, it spells Dallas tap water.
Dallas tap water. That's why it's so good, right?
Nah.
I don't know. I turned the faucet on the other day here in El Reno, and it came out brown. So,
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
so I don't know.
Well, we lost our inside man down there at the water plant.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's no longer there, so he's over there making Oklahoma City water brown too.
Which it's crazy how that water stuff works and
Yeah, it's
how you
crazy.
have to, the filtration
Right.
of all that stuff. Like we usually pull water. We have the water in the fridge still, so it works off a filter, which those can get really expensive.
Yeah.
Like for the one that we used to buy, just for one, and it would last. It lasts probably 3 months, But it was like $50-$60 for that. But we found a place online where for I think it was 25.
Yeah.
Get like 5 filters.
5.
That last you,
That's pretty good.
3 months or so. So, but we usually do the water out of that, and we realize too, because we have, for our coffee consumption, we have one of those coffee makers that do the full 12 cup, and then it has the conversion for the pods.
Right.
And in our experience with especially pod coffee makers, because unless you have one of those just like regular bun coffee makers that are just, $15 at Walmart or something, tap water can really hurt that.
Yeah.
And we've gone through a couple of Keurigs in particular using tap water, so we use the filtered water and it helps it a little better.
Well, that's pretty good, but you need to run some, vinegar through your coffee machine every once it gets that stuff out of there. So it cleans that out. But
They have like some descaler stuff nowadays they sell, but vinegar
would do it.
that type of stuff.
No Clorox, please. No
Yeah,
Clorox. You'll regret that, I tell you.
Kidding.
When you're in the hospital explaining, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, that's right. Oops. So sorry.
But anyway.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a lot colder
Oh, yeah.
next week. I'm not looking forward to that, but
What I'm waiting on is like the 23rd, and past that, they're showing highs in the 60s and lows in the high 30s. I can handle that.
okay.
But they're talking Tuesday night. One of them saying -1. Wednesday night 1. I think the next night about 5. So.
Wow.
But I'm going to go with what the Mesnet says. We're going to go for 5 on Tuesday instead of -1. Talking about 6 degrees, but hey, I'll take it.
Just something, because
Especially if the wind isn't blowing. Imagine what the wind chill's going to be.
oh man, I
And
can't.
snow next Tuesday too. They got that in the forecast. So, so I think, oh great. I love that sleep we had the other day. Wasn't that fantastic?
Yeah, that was.
It beats freezing rain. So freezing rain brings power lines down. So
That was something. Yeah, that was terrible. My daughter ended up having to go to work, so I drove her to work.
yeah, that's slick.
Yeah, and it was very, very slow going. So.
Well, I didn't get out till yesterday, so ain't worry about it.
So you had to get out yesterday, huh?
Let's see. Well, actually, I guess I got out Wednesday evening. It cleared up enough on the roads.
Okay.
So yeah, then I got out yesterday too.
Yeah, was it terrible?
Yeah, it wasn't terrible Wednesday evening. You get on the main roads, get off the street out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not all that. It's that time of year. Ain't nothing to do about it.
Yep.
Waiting on March. Spring comes in March.
Yeah.
Although we can have some pretty good snowstorms in March though too.
What is it? What's your favorite season?
Fall.
Yeah,
I like fall.
I like fall too.
That's my favorite. Spring around here would be, but you got to go hide in the
Yeah.
tornado season around here starts.
Yeah.
Takes fun out of it, And then it starts warming up. You got 100 degrees in May, and you say, well, wait a minute, it's not summer yet. But this is Oklahoma though, so temperatures are wrong and tornadoes everywhere. In May, end of April, May, it really gets into tornado season. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I care for the fall, especially if it starts early in September, stays basically warm up to at least halfway through November. I like that. So
Yeah.
before we get into December. So.
Actually, yeah.
Like it was this past fall, it stayed pretty warm until we got into December. So everybody kept saying it's going to be a warm winter. Yeah.
Well, what I've learned about weather around here, because, I'm from the Metroplex, Texas, and, like we didn't really get snow. There was a lot of ice, that type of stuff. And summer's extremely hot
Yeah.
a lot of times. So I've kind of grown. I grew up kind of liking fall as well, because it was like you can wear the shorts with like a hoodie, that type of stuff. A little more comfortable weather, do a lot more stuff in. I guess it would be similar up here. I don't know if it lasts as long as in Texas, but I would say fall. Fall's probably a good deal for that.
Fall's a good one. What always got me was we'd be freezing to death up here to get down southeastern Oklahoma. You look down there, temperatures are in the 60s.
Yeah.
Freezing to death up here. Like, oh, come on, man.
Well, that's the thing. Like even this week with the sleet we got, up in the northwest panhandle there, it was all like Woodward and all that stuff. It was all like snow and
snow and everything. So
I'm like, man, that changes.
It's crazy weather around this place.
It's crazy. Okay, so let's get into.
Good.
Now we're not going to do this every week, but I found like 2 videos that I wanted to introduce into our new segment, Jimmy Nick Reacts, and so I'm having a hard time picking which one to do, and so I think this one probably be a little more funny here to show. Okay, now this is an unknown preacher.
What?
Unknown preacher. I don't know who he is. I don't know his name. Don't know what church he's at. I don't have any of that background, and I didn't do research on purpose.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to get stuck in this, it's from, this denomination or whatever.
Right. Copeland.
Yeah, that's right. But I found it fascinating what he was saying, and I want to get your reaction. And I'll tell our listeners why I picked this one of 2. I'll just show this one. Why I picked this reaction, because Jimmy Nick, you're not of the younger persuasion.
Right.
Okay. Right. You've seen a lot. You've got a lot of history under your belt. Mm-hmm. Have some fascinating stories. I remember when we would first get together, you would talk about, hey, did you know about this? Did you know about that? And it's like, really? And so you had like all this history stuff that you were, including, remember that one time we got together and you brought that Oklahoma map and you pulled it out and you opened it up and you said, okay, how do you say that? How do you say that town? How do you say that town? And I was butchering it, and it was like, I was pretty new to the Oklahoma scene, I guess, at that time, but I learned a lot, So I think I always think about like the things that you've experienced and stuff like that. And then, I'm not young in that sense anymore. Sometimes I feel like it until I get up in the morning. And then I'm like, oh, holy crap. Oh, this is, but I want to see what your reaction is and what you think about what this preacher is telling this church. Okay? All right, here we go.
Well, nobody wants to talk about it, but I'm trying to tell you something is wrong. I told the men in my church, I want you to stop shopping at Baby Gap. Those pants are too small. You look like a little boy. I need you to get something that tells me you want a woman. Now, y'all are mad. I'm a priest. You ain't got to invite me back. I got my own church. Well, this is a male purse. No, that is a woman's pocketbook. And I want to know why you have a pocketbook. Because my mother had one, but my daddy never carried a pocketbook. Men of God, talk back to me. What man wants to carry a pocketbook?
Okay. So, what's your reaction on that?
Okay, I like the guy. Yeah, I don't know. I guess he's right in a lot of ways on that,
Yeah.
He's coming out and just saying it, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know what to really say about it. It's different. I mean,
there's all these trends, right? And trends
Right.
are always changing.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of trends. I've got some teenage daughters that, you know, they're not necessarily, I would say, into these trends, but
Right.
they kind of would go that way,
Right.
you know. And there's things that I'm like, I know that you're not gonna wear that type of stuff. But there's all these trends, and one of the major trends in today's society, if you will, is this dress trends
Right.
and how people dress.
Right.
And look, I get it. You know, if you're a heavier set guy like myself, you know, you're gonna wear some what would be considered normal pants.
Right.
You know, now I have a pair of pants that are just normal pants. They're a little bit different cut, but normal pants, and they're a little tight. They're not like skinny jean tight.
Right.
You know, I couldn't do skinny jean because if I bent over, you know, but, you know, all this stuff. But here is what caught me too, is the purse situation. Now, my dad back in the 90s,
Right.
and mostly the 90s,
Yeah.
early 2000s, not really, probably a little bit, but not much. He would wear a fanny pack. Did you ever wear a fanny pack?
No, I never wore one. I know people that did. So.
He would wear it was a leather, one of those old leather
Yeah.
ones. It was real leather, so it was kind of expensive, I think. But he would wear it whenever he would go out and about, especially if we went out, you know, to dinner or something
Yeah.
like that. He would always wear it, and you wear it around the waist, right? I know sometimes hikers or
Right. Yeah,
camp,
they would take them with them,
they'll wear, you know, around their waist.
Right.
But there's some that wear it around their, you know, their shoulder. Now, if you want to do that, you can do that. All that
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
But this brought me back. I remember my dad wearing that, and I always thought, why would he wear that?
Yeah.
And I could never figure it out. And I would never see him really get into it much.
Yeah.
Now the front pocket, because it had the big housing pocket, and then it had a front pocket, and then had a little bitty one on the front, a little zipper deal. But I remember the front pocket, he always had his marble reds in there and his lighter.
Yeah.
So he pulled that out and he would, you know, light up a
Yeah, the
cigarette.
Smoke, you know.
You know, especially after dinner, you know, he'd pull it out because he'd always have to smoke from the door of the restaurant to the car because he couldn't smoke in the car. So he would do
Stand
that.
outside the car and get a few in before he gets in.
Yeah.
But it's all over him and you go, you smell it.
Yeah, you're
all
right.
yeah.
You're still bringing it in the car.
Right,
Now,
you
it's
bring
not
it
in the seats and stuff as much, but
Right.
you still bring it in the car. And and my dad, he was like a master at that because he wouldn't want to waste a cigarette, so he would put it out, you know,
Yeah.
and then put it back in his
Right.
cigarette box and throw it in there. But I remember he would do that, and he was quick to it. So it was like you pay the bill, or if we're at a fast food restaurant, it's like, you know, you're taking the tray because he's out the door, just you know, lighting it up.
I don't know. Like I said, fanny pack, something like that. That's nothing wrong with that. I don't see that any problem with that. I think when you start carrying a woman's purse and wearing high heels, you got a problem there.
Then that's something a little different, yeah.
There are boundaries we do have in that. It's just
Sure.
like the way we dress sometimes. If we're Christians a certain way, we shouldn't go out and present ourselves in public
Mm-hmm.
anyway, you know. But as far as church, we come to church, we come here, we have no real dress code here.
Yeah.
And that's great because, you know, you don't have to put on a suit and tie and do all the stuff that the legalists want you to do. Like somehow that makes you a better person
Yeah.
by dressing like that. Mm-hmm. That may be something that was left over from like the 1950s or somewhere in there where 60s people dressed up for everything. They dressed up to go to the movies. They dressed up to go to church,
Sure, yeah.
movies. If they rode on a Greyhound or they rode on an airplane, they dressed up for it. They put on a suit and, you know, their best clothes. And, you know, Sunday go to meeting clothes, they used to call them.
Yeah.
And And they wore them all the time. And some people, I think, that got caught up in the church so much that they aren't willing to let go of that. And that somehow that's supposed to make you a better person, which it doesn't. You know, so.
Yeah. Well, there's also like a dress for the occasion, you know. There's that principle.
Yeah.
So like if I'm going to a funeral,
Right.
I'm going to dress for the occasion, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm going to dress to meet, you know, President Trump,
Right.
I'm going to dress that occasion. So there's those dress occasions. Now, I think part of societal, what we would probably call societal norms now that have transitioned over the years.
Yeah.
Kind of like where you're saying there's a lot of transition in that.
Right.
Those kind of have changed. Like I've noticed, like, you know, business casual, right? You know, some of these that work for these bigger companies or, you know, things like that. There used to be a suit involved, and then it kind of waned down to now you're not wearing a tie, but you'll wear a suit. And then now it's more like khakis. And now you're kind of getting down to like a nice pair of jeans, some of those nice, comfy, dressy casual shoes, a button up, you know, maybe a coat. So things have switched. And like you're saying at our church, we've, you know, it's different, you know, in like, well, I mean, like sometimes I'll wear jeans and a button up, and past couple of Sundays I've actually worn a suit and tie. It's just one of those things that's like, you know, okay, what does God want me to wear today type business. But yeah, the societal norms and all that stuff. So even the fanny pack, you know, those type of things. And I get made fun of because I'm one of those EDC guys, those everyday carry guys.
Yeah.
Like, I don't carry a ton of stuff, but I have things around me, you know, because just I'm clumsy and stuff like that. So, you know, like I've got Band-Aids around me, some portion or, you know, because I'm always like, you know, paper cut or something, and those are usually the worst, and they're bleeding everywhere. You're like, oh. But I'm kind of EDC guy. So like even right next to me, I have a backpack. I always got kind of a backpack I carry.
Yeah, I never had one of those. But
A
then
backpack?
But when I was going to school, nobody had one anyway. You know,
Did y'all do like, this is going to sound offensive. I don't mean this offensive, but did you ever have like the books where they would tie like the belt thing around it and carry it that way?
No.
No?
No, not in our group.
Okay. Because I've seen some.
What books? What books? That's them at school.
That's right, yeah. Those
Homework? No, it's homework.
Those I ain't doing no homework.
The teacher, I swear, the dog ate it. The dog ate it.
I wonder what generation that excuse started in, you know?
The dog ate my homework.
I can say, oh, my computer crashed.
Yeah. See, the bully, he robbed me of my lunch money and took my homework.
Did you ever use any of those excuses or any others?
Wasn't no point.
You were a good student, weren't you?
Yeah, kind of. I showed up every day.
Yeah. That's a good start.
Yeah, it's a good start. I wasn't one to ditch school at all. I didn't ditch it. The only time I ever ditched school, believe it or not, was in kindergarten. And I went in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So most of the time I didn't show up because you'd go up there, she might read a story to you, or we'd have show and tell and all this stuff, and then they pull out the mats and take a nap in the afternoon. I didn't want to take no nap. So half the time I wouldn't show up, you know.
So did you just like, Mom, I'm not going? Or
No, she didn't know. Oh, she did catch us. Me and my buddy at the time, but she did catch us. We were supposed to have been in there, and she worked downtown, so she went to lunch late that one day, and we're walking down by the movie theater, and here she comes out of that one place.
And you're a kindergartner?
Yeah. Ooh, oops.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang, you're a little hoodlum when you were in kindergarten.
You got to remember, it's a small town, though, so we're not, it wasn't real big.
Wow.
But, yeah, she caught it. She caught me. It didn't stop me.
Kindergarten, man. I don't even let my...
But after that, that's the weird thing. After kindergarten, I never danced again.
Huh.
It's weird. I'd tell you,
It was your friend you were hanging out with. He's
I
a bad
guess,
influence.
We have a bad, or I was the bad influence on him. That's one way or another.
Man.
But we'd meet up on the way to the schoolhouse because I had a babysitter in the morning.
Okay.
So I would leave there and to go there. We'd meet up and then we'd hightail it off somewhere. And the thing about it, there was a department store down there that had a carousel in the back. You go in to get a free ticket, you can go out and get on ride the carousel. So we're out there riding horses on the carousel.
And like,
We should be in school, you know. Look, when you're that age, carousel's kind of fun, you know.
and no adult, they're like,
Oh, they got you on it, you know. They turn it on.
it proves a different time and how
different
things have
time,
changed.
Yeah, things have changed. So that was fun. It was fun back in the day. I remember it well.
Man. Golly. No, that I would. Man, I have a hard time. My wife and daughters going to the city by themselves.
But back in those days, you could do things like I lived over in Bethany over there. You know,
Yeah.
get on our bikes. We'd take a bike ride out to the lake over there, over Holzer, and we went all over the place. And we'd go up to the movie theater. You know, we'd go up to the movie theater, watch movies on Saturday. You know, nobody ever. There wasn't no care about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You could play out in your front yard.
Incoming call.
You can play in your front yard and all that kind of stuff. Nowadays, things have changed drastically. What goes on in this world today is completely. It went on even back then, but probably to a lesser degree. I know when, like, if there was somebody who was killed in Oklahoma City at the time, that was front page news. It rarely happens now. You get up in the morning, turn on the news, they go to a laundry list of all the people that either shot or killed or whatever happened to them on a daily basis anymore. So it's really sad what's happened to society in the last 50 years.
Yeah,
especially.
it's terrible.
So there's no love for each other anymore out there.
Yeah, it's
a lot of
terrible.
hate out there, a lot of hate, discontent.
It really is, and that's one of the things is proof of the end, you know.
Right. Yeah, it's proof of knowing that, you know, people like to think, well, I'm a good person, I'm good this, good that. There's no one good but God.
Mm-hmm.
God is the only one that's good. And like good spelled good with a big G, you got an extra O in there. God is good. It describes God. You know?
Yeah.
He's good. You know?
That's a good way to put it.
You know?
Yeah.
So just put an extra O in there with the big G, you know.
Yeah.
God, good. So same thing, you know. He is what he is, and we're not.
Yeah.
And that's why we have that need for him, because we're not that. We're the opposite of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because Adam and Eve, what they did in the garden, there was a curse put on us. This world's cursed. We're cursed when you come into this world, and we have a sin nature. We're the very opposite of God. We're coming here, who's your father when you come into this world? It's the devil, you know, because we chose to follow him, basically, other than to follow God back in the garden. So
Yeah.
put us back into that situation.
That's, you know, and that plays out again in our society today, what's happening in our world. Like before we were recording, we were talking about, you know, Valentine's Day, right?
Right.
And the consumerization of all that, as far as, you know, Walmart and all that stuff.
Right.
You know, let's put that out there and all that stuff. And it I mean it has, but you know, you think about that and the idea of want, you know,
Yeah.
like want becomes what you think is a need,
Right.
you know, and stuff like that. I'm not saying it's wrong to buy chocolates for your wife and things like
Right.
that, but you know, it gets into the area of you know,
That's
do you
basically
actually have to?
in this country. I think that's true in this country. But you get into those lesser countries out there, you know, we got all these wants as Americans. We want this, we want that, you know. We always do, you know. But another one that's what we want is a need for them, you know. They just have needs like food and water and clean water and all stuff like that.
Right.
I don't know. I haven't seen any. I don't know if it's really changed that much in some of the third world countries, but like back in the day, you see in Vietnam, you see these women have these pots on the dill, carrying them on their shoulders because they had to go down and get clean water to bring back up there to use for the day. You know, and we take stuff like that for granted, and you know, and it's not that way in the rest of the world. It's actual need. It's not, but we want stuff, you know, because we were taught to want.
Yeah.
Basically, we were, you know.
Yeah, it's part of our flesh, right? Lust of the eyes.
Yeah,
lust
some
of
parts
flesh,
of the
pride
world,
life.
if they get a house, some parts of the world, they stay in the rest of their lives. But no, we got starter homes.
Yeah, I think like Tim and Danella, right? You know, they bought their house. When they got married, if I remember the story correctly, and Tim, they can correct me, but if I remember correctly, they got married. They lived like in this little apartment thingy for a little bit, and then they bought a home that they still live in.
Right.
And
That's rare.
Yeah, and what they paid for it was just
Right.
like, I mean, there's no way.
No, yeah.
No way. It's like, it was chump change.
Really?
I mean, it was, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember being flabbergasted.
Right.
Like, you paid what for that? Of course, it was back in,
in the day,
whatever, but, you know, and I'm sure it's valued way more, but they still live in it, you know. They still live in the same neighborhood, all that stuff. But yeah, the starter home deal and all that stuff, I'm like, man, I'm just happy to have a home.
Yeah, I know. It's like my brother-in-law. He bought a house. Actually, the guy had built him another house, and he wanted to get rid of that one in a hurry. So it cost him $50 to get in, you know, and take over payments on the deal. And the thing about it, he told me one time he's out there, says, this bank sure wants me to pay off his loan because his house payment was like $75 a month. He says, he says, this new pickup, I owe more on this pickup than I do on this house, and they want me to pay this thing off. Well, he did eventually pay it off, and he decided he didn't want to live in Oklahoma City, so he moved, got a place in the country down by Tuttle. And so he sold that house with that and everything. He was able to get him a new home in Tuttle with that, what he sold that house for. And what he paid for it initially was nothing, like I think probably 10 grand. So it was a ridiculous price for the place.
That's crazy.
And you know, then you're up to 200,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's paid for. That's all your money, you know, after it was paid for.
That's like some of these people that live in California.
Oh yeah.
And they move to like Oklahoma or something. You know, your equity alone in California is so big. You know, so even if you sell it to pay off whatever you owe, you're still going to have a bunch to come over and you know, basically pay cash or.
I know a brother, when he was working out there, he said he knew a couple that bought a house out there. It says a cracker box. They paid like $1 million for it. And he said, and the point was they were going to build up, you know.
Okay.
They were going to add on, but they were going to build upward. And they found out the zoning they couldn't.
Oops.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
That had to hurt.
Yeah, that's nah.
I wouldn't pay that kind of money for a house anyway, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like to know what's going on up here by Murphy's Corner there. I see tents are out there now.
I saw that, yeah.
People staying in tents.
Yeah.
It's crazy in this country that it'd be down to doing something like that.
Yeah, there's so much of that, especially if you go down towards Oklahoma City.
Right.
You know, some of those places like 44 and Penn.
Right.
That area, May. You know, that crazy area. That's yeah.
Yeah, it's sad what's going on here. A lot of them people don't get the help they need because a lot of them need some emotional help, you know, and stuff like that, mental health, stuff like that, but they basically don't have places for them to go anymore. And so what they really need is Jesus Christ, but they're really not getting that either. So,
yeah.
you know, there's a lot of people, and they have habits of alcohol and drugs and everything, and it drives them clear down to nothing, you know. And it's sad because you still can't reach them, you know, even though you can give them the gospel, but they still won't react to it because, I don't know, that's what they're caught up in, and they don't want to get out of it, really.
Yeah.
If they really did, they'd put an effort in to really getting out of it. It's like a boy stands on the corner over there all the time, you know. Place across the street was hiring, you know. but he'd rather stand on that corner in cold weather than to go get the job. I don't know the circumstances.
In my experience, there was a point in time in my life when I was a kid that we did live on the streets.
Right.
We're in a shelter for a little
Right.
bit and stuff like that. And, you know, again, in my experience being on the streets and even living in terrible neighborhoods, you got a little bit of both. I mean, you have those that, you know, like there was a guy, and I think I recently told this story before too, but there was a guy that lived in the apartment complex that we lived in. Now, it was a fully like Section 8, you know, complex and things like that. So it wasn't the best quality and kind of fairly reasonable in cost. But this guy, that's what he did. He went and he'd go make money, and then on the streets, you know, he'd make $100, $200 a day, and he would make enough to pay his rent, you know, keep his electricity on, that type of stuff, buy him some smokes and some beer, and then go at it. So you had that. Then you had those that, you know, they did fall on some hard times, whether that was, you know, maybe there was some abuse,
Right.
you know, maybe there was a mom with kids that got abused and, you know, had to bail, had to leave, and the only other choice was the street. You have, you know, those that, you know, that there's some legitimate things, but then you have those that don't want to work too,
Right.
you know.
I know that there's a lot of that. It's really sad because I know a place where I worked at in downtown Oklahoma City, between Jesus House and this Baptist deal downtown where they could go get breakfast at.
Yeah.
And you'd see them leave there and they'd pass by our place on the way down there. And then you see these guys, they would hustle for some money or something, and then you'd see them later today, either behind the gas station, over the fence behind the gas station over there. They're all out there with a bottle, sharing bottles, you know, and
Sure,
stuff like that. And then you had the overhead highway used to run through there. They'd be up under there all day long. And basically, it's really sad to see that. There's one day, I was standing at one of our overhead doors that we had, and this man and woman come down the street there, and they got like a gallon jug of wine. And they're arguing over it's mine, it's mine, it's mine.
Yeah.
By the time you got through, they broke it. And neither one of them were happy with each other.
That's terrible. Yeah.
But that's sad that, you know, it's.
But the tents over there, that's,
Yeah.
you know, and somebody probably just said, here, you know, so you can try to stay warm or out of the wind or things like that. But
I don't know. It's
you know.
It's really sad.
I have, you know, there was a moment in time where, you know, as a church, we did something to help at a moment that we believe that God gave to do that.
Right.
You know, and we don't know the fruit of that necessarily.
Well,
I mean, there was different things that happened from that, but we don't know the fruit of it until eternity. But you know, that's the things that you do when God, like if you're pulling up to a deal and God puts it on your heart to give something, absolutely.
Give it.
But I have noticed that because of some of these, and that may have changed now, but some of these government subsidies and stuff, you can get a free phone, right?
Right.
And it's a smartphone.
Right.
So at the least, you know, I'm giving QR codes out.
Right.
You know, because some way, somehow they're going to be able to see it and do that stuff. So, you know, that kind of things. But yeah, it is sad with all the cold weather and things like that.
Well, I think it was last year you guys put some guys up in the motel around here,
No, we don't do that. No.
You didn't do that?
No, we don't do the church doesn't do that.
Church doesn't do it?
No.
Oh, okay. I was wondering what the deal was on that. For
Yeah.
cold winter, you know. But there are a lot of people out there that are in need, and their basic need is Jesus Christ, and that needs to mean we need to get the gospel out there to them, and maybe you might rescue somebody off the street through that, through Christ Jesus, you know, because it's a sad place to be, I guess, really sad.
Yeah, it's sad.
Fortunately, I haven't been there. I didn't have to live off the street, and haven't, so.
When I was a kid and we were living in a shelter, it was in Arlington, Texas, and I remember it vividly because, you know, I was young enough to be like, oh, what is this? But it's like herding cattle into this place. They didn't open the doors until like 5, somewhere around there. And so you'd walk in, you come in, you get toiletries. Then you go in, you get in line to get your dinner.
Right.
Then from there, after you get your dinner, you go get in another line to get your sheets and your pillows.
Right.
And this particular shelter we stayed in, they had a family section. So it was mostly moms with kids.
Right.
And they just had these mattresses that leaned up against the wall.
Yeah.
And so you'd have to put those down on the ground. You'd have to put your sheet on there.
Yeah.
And we all slept on the same mattress.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to get up at a certain time because they close the door. They kick you out at a certain time.
Right.
So you'd get up, and it was like the athletic showers rooms.
Right.
So you go in, it's open showers, So you got kids my age, boys my age with older men, showering, all that stuff. And then you go and get your breakfast, if there was some other assistance you needed or whatever. And then they had different places you can walk to or get to for like if you needed job applications, you can feel like get help with that type of stuff. And so we would go there, and you didn't really have anything. I remember coloring sheets and stuff like that. And it's a tough deal. And I know there's probably ones out there that are a little better than that and actually help. But yeah, in this cold weather, man, this is terrible.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of need out there. It's always going to be need. Johnson back in Lyndon Johnson Day, he did the War on Poverty. Well, you see where that's at. It's still here. It's never going to go away, not in this day and age,
Yeah.
And mankind is, I don't know. You give people, they have welfare and stuff like that, and yet they'll take that and they'll abuse it. A lot of people will,
Sure, yeah.
They can use it. They used to, I don't know if you can do it now, but back in the day, like if they used to give you stamps, actual stamps, food stamps.
Yeah, we had those.
And people would trade them to other people for stuff,
I lived, there was in the south side of Fort Worth, off Hemp Hill Street. We used to live off Hemp Hill, and my math's going to be off, but maybe a mile away from Town Center Mall right there off 35. Anyways, our ice cream truck man took food stamps.
Really?
Yeah, we'd come out there and he'd come rolling up in our duplex that we were living at the time, and Mom would just throw out, a couple of $1 and $5 food stamps, and we'd go out there and get some ice cream.
Yeah, they'd actually give you back money, change off those things too. People would do it. They'd go buy something so they could get the change to go buy a cigarette.
We used to do it. My mom, same neighborhood. Matter of fact, we lived a couple of blocks from a corner store, and she would send us up there with $1 food stamp.
Yeah.
And we'd get a pack of Wrigley's gum, which was 25 cents, just 1 quarter, get 75 cents back, and we'd do that a few times throughout the week.
Right.
And that's how we would wash clothes.
Get your washing.
Be resourceful, man.
It's crazy, wasn't it? But that's, it's crazy how that works.
Yeah.
And everything. Was that the time you came to faith back in them days? I remember this is a story I tell people you told me. You were sitting on a curb in Winslow, Arizona. When Jesus pulled up in a flatbed forward and said, "Come on, son, follow me." And you said, "Wow, now I can take it easy."
It didn't quite work out that way, but
take it easy.
But yeah, it was years later, but yeah.
They don't have a statue sitting on a curb in Winslow.
No, where I was, it was the west side hood of Fort Worth, Texas, and it was pulled up in a 6'4" Impala with 5-star wheels, and I don't know. That's not true, but I was trying to relate it to.
So you weren't sitting on the curb and wind blowers. It was somewhere down there.
Yeah.
He didn't pull up in the flatbed Ford.
No, no way.
Come on, son.
Not in my
Follow me.
neighborhood.
Not in your neighborhood.
So.
It's really okay.
Well, let's wrap this up. Now, Jimmy Nick told me that you didn't have a song for today, and that's cool.
Yeah.
I actually have a song for today.
All right.
And to end us
You
on.
gonna sing it or?
And no, I'm gonna play it. You don't want me singing this song.
Oh yeah.
This is a song that I came across several months ago, and just by chance. And the message is, it's kind of funny,
Yeah.
but it's kind of true too.
True.
It may not be in a genre that some people like. Again, this is just kind of a funny song I'm throwing out there to end
Not the one
our
with the
episode.
squirrel in the church, is it?
No. But I want you to listen to the lyrics, okay?
Okay.
And I'll play a little bit. I'm actually going to fast forward to the chorus a little bit, I think, too, because the chorus is kind of funny as well, and a little true too. So, all right. So here we go. You ready?
Right.
This probably could be another Jimmy Nick react. Okay. Here we go.
Beans and tell me why they all hating on me. Cause it's God over money on my whole team. I bang out like Yeshua is my OG. And I don't really know how to be low key. Logo on my chest like what it do. We them followers of Christ on me what it do. And if you're not one, we can still kick it. But I might preach to you, I'm just being real with it. Christ said you gotta love them when they front too. Your love measured by the hate you can love through. And if Christ
Get ready for the chorus. Here we go.
Put him there and die for his killers, he can love you. He the boss, I be on my J.O. The way I do it, got him aiming in my halo. The truth hurt, but it do work. Until you met him, you can never know your true worth. I keep it 100. Some of y'all love it, some of y'all don't, but I ain't finna change nothing. G.O.M. We gon' keep it coming. If it's hating, you don't.
Here we go, ready?
I mean, you can hate me, but you ain't getting no hate back. You get no hate back. I mean, you can hate me, but you ain't getting no hate back. Cause all the hating in the world won't make me a hater.
All right. So there we go.
Okay. All right. This is some of that jive music. Okay. This is Jimmy Nick.
And this is Phil.
Adios.
Next time.